have this in your journal. We're going to be talking about function notation. This right here, this is basically what's called f of x. This means g of x. When you're dealing with function notation, it allows you to be able to organize your functions a heck of a lot easier. Now, I don't want you to do this in your journal right now, but let me show you the reason why we have function notation. If I had y equals x squared minus 2x minus 10 and y equals negative x squared minus 2x plus 12 and y equals negative 2x squared plus 5x plus 27, I had to say a lot at one time. However, if I erase y equals and y equals and y equals, I could call this one f of x, I could call this one g of x, I could call this one h of x, and without me having to say the whole function, I could say, Andrew, look at h of x, without me having to say, Andrew, look at y equals negative 2x squared plus 5x plus 27. Function notation helps you be able to organize functions, and so I could have a list of 20 functions, and automatically I could just say, look at c of x, and you would be able to know exactly which function I'm talking about without having to do a whole bunch of looking at all the values. Okay? So we're going to go back here and we're going to look at this right here. Now, how do we use function notation? Whenever you see f parentheses x, if I said f parentheses 2 and what is that equal to, this simply means that wherever you see an x, you are now going to replace the x and plug in a 2. So by the way, you guys see where it says f of x equals this? Wherever there's an x, what did I plug in? An x. But here, I didn't say f of 2, I said f of x. But if I say f of 2, what number do you think I'm now going to put in the place of the x? A 2. So now I'm going to plug in a 2 there. So if I wanted to evaluate this, the number that's inside the parentheses, or letter, or expression that's inside the parentheses is what you're plugging in wherever you see an x value. So this would be 5 over what? 5 over 2 plus 2, which is a 4. And so if I asked you to evaluate where it was f of 2, you just take the 2 and plug it in where you saw an x. So take a look at that and see if that makes sense. Now let's say I gave you a problem that said g of 2, not f of 2, but g of 2. Once again, what am I telling you to plug in? I'm telling you to plug in the number 2 wherever you see an x, not in this function, but in the function g of x. So how would I write? I put negative 2 first. Then what am I going to do next? Open up a parentheses. I'm going to put plus 3 at the end. And instead of this x right here, I'm going to plug in a 2. And now, all we have to do is just evaluate it. What's negative 2 times 2? Negative 4. No, negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. Negative 2 plus 2 is 4. It says time, parentheses, times. Plus a 3, you would get a negative 1. And that would be your final answer if I said evaluate, where it says g of 2. So I'm going to pause it right now. Take a look at it. See if where I highlighted, it makes sense to your brain. That wherever I plug, whatever number I plug in there, I'm putting that in the place of wherever there is an x. All right, here's one of your homework problems, all right? Number 19. By the way, I left it just so you guys could see g of x right here. But what are we saying that our x value is in this particular case? Aha. So here's how I would do it. Ready? If I say, what is g of a half equal to? Well, if g of x is equal to negative 2x plus 2, because when it's g of x, it's equal to negative 2x plus 2, then g of a half is equal to negative 2, open parentheses, something plus 3. So we're going to take this 1/2 and plug it in just like that. And what's negative 2? Times a negative 1. And what is negative 1 plus 3? 2. And 2 is the correct answer for what is g of a half? G of a half is a 2 in this particular case, if we use this equation. Just remember, when it says g of x, whatever you're plugging it in, it goes right there. Number 20 was a little bit tricky because we have this thing called f of negative 2, which means our x value happens to be a negative 2. We're going to take that negative 2, we're going to plug it right in there. And you get 5 over negative 2 plus 2, which gets you this concept of 5 over 0. And since you can't divide anything into nothing, you would say this answer is undefinable. So you say undefined. All right? So since you can't divide 5 into nothing, all right, it doesn't work. Okay? It's undefined. All right. Well, we're going to go back now. We're going to go back to this concept in your journal. All right? So you guys have this, correct? All in your journal. Now we're going to do something a little bit different. All right? Here we go. You have this concept of f, horrible f. F of x equals 5 over x plus 2. So you have that. Now we're going to do something a little bit different. What if I said, what is f of y equal to? If f of x equals this, and I said, what is f of y? What am I saying for you to plug in to the x? So your answer would just simply be 5 over y plus 2. Now, this would be your answer if I said evaluate f of y. Now, if that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, that's okay. You can write that in your journal as an example. We'll do another one. All right, here we go. If I say, what is f of x minus 2, like that, then you would put 5 over and in parentheses for the x, what am I going to plug in for x? X minus 2. So whatever is in here, that's whatever I put in this parentheses is literally what I am putting in the place of your x value. So let's see what this value is to. Ready? 5 over x minus 2 plus 2. What is 5 over x plus 2? What's going to happen to this plus 2 and this minus 2? So your answer is going to be 5 over x. All right, hold on. So make sure you guys get that down. Now, g of x was equal to what? Negative 2x plus 3, correct? So here's what I want you to see if you can come up with. Ready? I'm going to say g of a minus 5. And I want you to take whatever is inside the parentheses, and I want you to take this, and I want you to plug it in for x and see what you come up with. If you were to plug that in right there, see what you come up with. When you come up with something, right now if you're watching this video, pause it, come up with it, see if you get it right. And go. So listen up. Right here, I'm going to put a minus 5. Then, if I wanted to evaluate this, I'm going to distribute it to both numbers. And what do we get when we distribute it to both numbers? We get negative 2a is correct, and plus 10, and then we have to add a 3. Now, where did I get the plus 10? Because a negative 2 times a negative 5 is a positive 10. Because a negative times a negative is a positive. And this equals negative 2a plus 13, because 10 and 3 are like terms. and that would be your final answer. By the way, this problem will help you with problem number 22, which you got right now to send all by yourself. Congratulations. Number 22. Look at number 22, right? Everybody look at number 22. Scrolling over. What does that say? It says f of what? M minus 2. Remember, what was f of x equal to? F of x was equal to 5 over x plus 2. But what am I plugging in the place of x? That's right. I'm plugging in for x m minus 2. So what I'm doing right now is I'm taking n minus 2, I'm plugging it in the place of x, and look what you get. You get 5 over m minus 2 plus 2. What's going to happen to the negative 2 and the plus 2? So you have 5 over m. By the way, if you did not get this assignment done, turn it in Monday. It's the last day you can turn it in. You have one more second.